Good,
I'm
good
well.
evening, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate you spending time with us. I know that the weather in South Africa is doing what it does in December, very different December, but you know what? We are here to make sure that your festive season truly does take off in the best way. And I have something very special for you, someone who truly is the kind of person that you want to hear from, especially at a time like this, where it's time to just unwind and relax and kind of wrap up the year. And I mean, he absolutely needs no introduction. The VP of Essential Oils Education here at doTERRA heads up science and education. He also heads up the Prime Meridian Healthcare in Pleasant Grove in Utah. And it's the first of its kind. It's one of really our prized places and spaces at our doTERRA Global Office precinct. The state of the art, nature inspired architecture that you'll find there. And this is truly where integrative healthcare is prioritized. So a light bulb moment came up for me and it lit up when I was at Prime Meridian to learn that Prime Meridian is a direct translation of exactly what happens at the Prime Meridian Healthcare Center, where traditional Western medicine meets holistic and intuitive healthcare. And so all of this powered by our incredible essential oils. And without further ado, allow me to welcome, and please give me those fire flame emojis, clap your hands. Here is Dr. Brannick Riggs. Dr. Riggs, good evening.
Oh, thank you. No, I so appreciate that. What a kind introduction. I sometimes I get tired of hearing the bio that's read, and it's fun to sometimes tell people, well, just make something up about me. That might be more exciting. So I actually did have someone, one of our wellness advocates here, who said to her team as I was meeting with them that Dr. Riggs calls himself a doctor, but he received most of his training from the bush people of South Africa. So it was a nod to you all and the great wisdom that is found within your culture, but it was untrue. I wish it were. But I'm excited to be with you all tonight and just have this conversation about something that I'm really passionate about. Let me see if I can share my screen here. I'll share there. Okay, everybody can see that doTERRA education slide. There's, of course, then let's see if we can get this to move through. There's my picture. Tonight we're going to talk about kind of 5 days to reset, restore, and rise, or what we're calling kind of reclaim your rhythm, because I think it's so important. I've been recently reading a book about kind of the rhythm of life and how do we set our bodies in relation to the rhythm of life or the rhythm of nature, and how important it is for our bodies to have that same rhythm. And there are so many things that try to pull us out of that rhythm. The modern things of the world today, which sometimes are very beneficial for us, still pull us out of that rhythm. And we really do need to um, find a way to get back into that natural rhythm of life. Now, whenever we're talking about wellness and health at doTERRA, we always refer back to our wellness pyramid. It's really a brilliant way to look at how do I maintain and reclaim my health. And you can see that the bottom four sections of this are all lifestyle. Nutrition and digestion, movement and metabolism, rest and manage stress, and reduce toxicity. All of those things have to do with the choices that we make. How do we support this body that we've been given? And how do we make sure that we are able to continue to function? Now, what's amazing about the human body, it's the only machine that I'm aware of that is made to heal itself when we give it the right environment. And really, that's all what that bottom four part of the wellness pyramid is about. Making sure that the body can heal itself. The top two sections, informed self-care and proactive medical care, are what are the things I can do for myself? And when there are things that I can't do for myself, how do I make sure that I'm proactive with my medical care, accessing physicians like myself to be able to see what's coming down the road and how do I avoid an outcome that I don't want now. And really, it's quite simple. There's just really three components to this. It's really supplements, foundational oils, and then on occasion targeted solutions. Now, sometimes at doTERRA, we get really excited about the targeted solutions. We say, oh my goodness, you have some head tension. I have a product that's perfect for you, past tense, and that's going to help. But really, maybe we ought to be focusing more on the foundation before we focus on the target solution. We'll talk about both of those tonight, both some targeted solutions and some foundational oils. But but understand that targeted solutions should only come after we've addressed that foundation for us, okay? So foundational wellness, what we're going to be talking about tonight is our VMG PB Restore E Omega. And then we'll have some conversations about some of these oils and some of these supplements, like our PB Assist Plus, our MetaPower Advantage, and then, as I mentioned, those oils there, and how we might use those every day in our lives. Whoop, I think we just advanced a little bit here. Hang on. There we go. So our foundation really begins with this. VMG is meant to fill the nutritional gaps. We know that our diet today is calorically dense and nutrient deficient. Now, what does that mean? It means that even with our healthy fruits and vegetables and those sorts of things, we're not getting the nutrients that we used to. And that's important because those nutrients are cofactors for our cells to be able to function properly. And if we're missing those cofactors, it becomes a significant problem. The example I'll give you is iron. Iron is a cofactor for our red blood cells. Without it, our red blood cells can't carry oxygen. And if they can't carry oxygen, the rest of the cells in the body suffer. The other thing that iron does is it removes a toxin from the body called carbon dioxide. Because once it lets go of the oxygen for the cell, it binds the toxin, carbon dioxide, brings it out of the cell, and takes it to the lungs where we get rid of it. Without that, the toxin builds up and causes a problem. That's one little mineral, iron, and that's only one of its many roles that it does. I can name hundreds of examples of how those nutrients are very important, and also hundreds of examples of how we're not getting those nutrients from our diet today. We're going to talk about E omegas tonight, how those are essential fatty acids. We'll talk about why they're essential and how that wild orange in it helps support that absorption of it. And then we'll talk about PB Restore for just a second, that pre, pro, and probiotic or postbiotic mix and how that's helpful for us. But we just recently completed a study on these three products, VMG, PB Restore, E Omega. Here's what we found, okay? It's now clinically proven to make you sharper, meaning you have better cognitive performance when you're taking VMG, E Omega, PB Restore, and some Copaiba. It also makes you stronger. We found that muscle mass increased and body fat decreased. Man, I love that result. If we could all just have less body fat and more muscle, everybody would be doing so much better. But taking these supplements was absolutely found to make us stronger. And then also we found that we were more vibrant. What that means is our metabolism improved. Managing our glucose, our sugar levels, managing our insulin levels, managing our cholesterol levels. Vitamin levels improved. Of course, then energy improved because now we're supplying all those cofactors for ourselves. And even mobility improved, meaning how mobile we were and how well we could stretch and how well our joints did. All of those things have been now clinically proven with these supplements. So with VMG, I just want to highlight one aspect of it. We could go on for an hour just on VMG. It's just an amazing product and everybody should be taking. But a couple of things with it. We have put within our VMG lemongrass, lavender, ginger, peppermint, and wild orange. The reason we do that is those essential oils have some research behind them is they help with absorption of the vitamins and minerals that we have within VMG. We also have liposomal technology in there that helps as well. So what does that mean? We get 4.1 times more bioavailability of vitamin C. 6.3 times more bioavailability of iron, and 5.4 times more bioavailability of vitamin E. Now, those are just three examples, but I choose those three examples for a reason. Vitamin C is a water-soluble vitamin. So it would make sense that all other water-soluble vitamins also increase their absorption. Iron is a mineral. And so it would make sense that all other minerals increase their absorption with these things. And then vitamin E is a lipid soluble vitamin or a fat soluble vitamin. And so it would make sense that other fat soluble vitamins like vitamin K, vitamin D, vitamin A also have increased absorption with that. Okay, so really important that we understand that our VMG with these essential oils, actually, we get more of them in the system and they actually stick around longer as well. Let's talk about E omegas for a minute. We did a study on our E omegas. It has wild orange in it. We found that we decreased diastolic blood pressure by 6 points just by taking the E omegas. This was a study by itself. Okay, and that was with the wild orange. When you took it without the wild orange, you actually didn't get as much of a benefit from the E omegas. You also found a decreased resting heart rate. Now, why is that important? Because we determine a cardiovascular health, how healthy our heart is, by how rapidly it beats when we're at rest. Now, a normal adult, that's 60 to 90 beats per minute. And so 4 beats per minute is pretty significant. I want you to understand that 4 beats per minute actually is saving us 5,760 beats per day less. That's pretty significant. And over 2 million beats a year less. Pretty fantastic. Now, I want to show you one of the ways that that happens. This is a cell. All of our cells look like this, okay? So this is an animal cell or a human cell. You can see the cell membrane is made up of that phospholipid bilayer. And all of that means is that there's this lipid or fatty acid outside there that is a part of the cell wall, okay? So that's what that looks like. Now you see those chains there, those little tails there on that lipid or that fatty acid? I want you to see what that's made up of. These are fatty acids. So a saturated fatty acid, when we eat, for instance, ice cream, yummy ice cream, love it, but here's what it looks like. It's nice and straight, okay? When we're eating something like olive oil or avocado that has a healthy fat in it, that's an unsaturated fatty acid, that little double bond there between the two carbons changes the structure. It's no longer flat, it actually has a bend in it now. Now, why is that important? Because if you make your cell walls now, or your cell membrane, if you make them up of these structures, you can see on the right, this is what it looks like with saturated fatty acids. And here's what it looks like with unsaturated fatty acids. Now, the unsaturated fatty acid looks a little messier, but what that does is it allows the cell membrane to be much more fluid. Okay? Whereas the saturated fatty acids, all lining up nice and tight there, means that that cell is pretty tight, and actually it doesn't do well with kind of the impact of life or the force of life. And so we want more unsaturated fatty acids in our cell walls than we want the saturated ones. And so, therefore, that's why when we get a little older, we get a little bit stiffer. We're not able to move as well. And so, having more of those unsaturated fatty acids in our diet, by taking our supplements, etc., we can really get some great benefit for each cell in the body. And that's very, very important for us. Now, I did some of my undergraduate studies in microbiology, and this is an artist's representation of the microbiome. Now, we throw words around at doTERRA like everybody knows exactly what we're talking about, and microbiome is one of those, right? We're like, oh yeah, microbiome, everybody knows it. And we just talk about it like everybody knows. But I want to define it for us here. The microbiome is a collection of bacteria, viruses, and fungi that live in or on the human body. Okay? So a collection of bacteria, viruses, and fungi that live in or on the human body. There are 100 trillion microbial cells in the human microbiome. There are around 32 trillion human cells in your body. 100 trillion of your microbiome, 32 trillion of human cells. You're actually more microbiome than you are human, which is a little bit weird to think about it. I get it, right? Um, and so our genes, actually, the human genes, are actually outnumbered by the microbiome genes of 100 to 1. So if we are largely microbiome, we probably ought to be good hosts for these bacteria, viruses, and fungi because they do so much for us, right? I mean, from digesting food to making neurotransmitters to making molecules that send messages to the rest of our body, our microbiome is now connected to so many different organs that it is now considered a silent organ itself. It's considered a silent endocrine organ. So think of your thyroid or your pancreas. The microbiome is as powerful as those things are and does so much for us. So if that's the case, we probably ought to be good hosts, as I said, and that's where our doTERRA PB Restore Probiome Complex comes in. We have our probiotics. Now, those are the things that we feed the microbiome with, right? Bacteria that we know are helpful for us. It has prebiotics in it. Now, what is that? That means it's the fuel source for the bacteria to live on. And so we give a dose of fuel, of food, for that microbiome to live off of. And then there's postbiotics. Postbiotics are those things that the microbiome, when healthy, makes for us. So think about things like vitamin K. We can't make vitamin K, so our microbiome does it for us when it's healthy. Think about things like serotonin and GABA. Those things are helpful for our nervous system, and so therefore our microbiome makes that for us. And so those postbiotics, we get a dose of the postbiotics every time we take our PB Restore. Now, one thing that sets us apart from other probiotics is that our probiotics have an inner capsule and an outer capsule. That outer capsule has the prebiotics and the postbiotics in it because they're stable in the stomach acid. The inner capsule, which is delayed release, actually has in it the probiotics. And the reason that we want a delayed release capsule is if the probiotics were accessed in our stomach, the stomach acid would kill off most of them. And so we want to make sure that we're protecting our stomach acid from those probiotics so that then protecting our probiotics from that stomach acid so it doesn't kill them off. And so it's a delayed release and doesn't open up until it's in the small intestine where we want it. So pretty amazing. In addition to those three supplements that I just mentioned, we also have our foundational oils. This is now our unique contribution to the world. So if you think about these foundational oils, these are the oils that, as we took a look at all of our oils, these are the ones that we would recommend using every day, right? Frankincense for its support of cellular health. Lavender because it's just calming for us, helps our system relax, right? Lemon with its limonene, peppermint with menthol, and that list goes on of the various oils that we would recommend using every day. We'll talk about some of them today. But take a look at that list. I would recommend making sure that you have those in your home, that they're available for you every day, and that you're figuring out ways to use them every day. Now, why is that? Well, we took a look at how do we explain this, and we decided we would use this example of a car. And so for the car, we would say, okay, if the nutrients or the VMG, E omega, PB Restore are the fuel that fuels the car, then the key is the essential oils. Why is that? Because the essential oils are cell signalers. They turn on the pathways of the cells, and then the nutrients fuel the pathway. So will the nutrients help if you just take them without the essential oils? Yes, they will. Will the essential oils help without taking the nutrients? Yes, they will. But when you combine those two together, now you see amazing things happen in your cells because you're fueling the pathway and you're turning it on. Those two things now give you amazing benefits. So let's talk about this concept of reset and making sure that we're resetting. Now, we've talked about PB Restore, and I want to make a differentiation here between PB Restore and PB Assist Plus. PB Restore is formulated with 4 microbiomes in mind. It's formulated for our gut microbiome. It's formulated for our skin microbiome. It's formulated for our oral microbiome, mouth and nose. And then it's also formulated for the female reproductive tract microbiome. Now, the PB Assist Plus is formulated just for the GI tract microbiome. Okay. So, and it doesn't have the same strains in it that the PB Restore does. So you can see that they're different. Okay. So for me, I take PB Restore every single day. Every day I take a PB Restore because there's so many things that disrupt the microbiome. I want to make sure that I'm doing everything I can to keep it nice and steady. But recently, at my wonderful age of 56, I went through a colonoscopy. And a colonoscopy means I had to clean everything out of my GI tract to get my colonoscopy done. And that means it disrupted my microbiome. So for the following week or two, I've been taking PB Restore and PB Assist to help get that microbiome back. Okay, now the beautiful thing about PB Assist, it has 13 probiotic strains in it. Okay, it has those micro-encapsulated live cultures, so we still protect those live cultures from the stomach acid by micro-encapsulating them. Okay, and then it also helps us maintain that intestinal microflora. It has in it the prebiotic fiber. It doesn't have the postbiotics in it. So again, I take both when I need to kind of reset that gut microbiome because those two together will do that for me. And then we can go to Zengest. I love Zengest. It was one of the first oils we had experience with my 13-year-old son. When he was born, he had lots of challenges, and a friend of ours brought over Zengest to the doctor's house. And I think that was a very brave friend that said, hey, here's an oil to a doctor and his wife. My wife is a nurse, and I will tell you it was nothing short of a miracle of what we saw happen with our son, and that began this interest in essential oils. So just as an idea of pathway, I want to share with you a couple of things within Zengest. Components like gingerol from ginger and anethole from fennel inhibit pro-inflammatory cytokines. What does that mean? It means the messengers that cause inflammation within the lining of the gut are calmed down. So we get reduction in gastrointestinal inflammatory response, which improves function, right? We also know that anise and coriander actually inhibit problematic bacteria in the gut. They actually help us get rid of the bad players so that then the good players have more room. It helps us balance that microbiome in the GI tract. And then also gingerol and menthol relax smooth muscles in the GI tract and enhance gastric emptying. What does that mean? It improves digestion and actually helps move things through the GI tract at a steady rhythm, a steady rate, which is what we all want. We all know when things move through the GI tract too fast, it is less fun for us, right? We're having to find a restroom very frequently, or when things move through the GI tract too slowly, it's also a problem. We need a steady rhythm of this. And using Zengest every day helps maintain that steady rhythm of moving things through the GI tract. Okay, let's move on to our restore concept here, which is then our VMG, PB Restore, E Omega, and then two of my favorite oils, Shinrin-yoku and Spanish sage. Let's talk about Shinrin-yoku for a minute. Shinrin-yoku is a blend that I created with Dr. Hill and a gentleman by the name of John Gapmeyer. And it's because of my love for the forest. Here in Utah, I live on the mountain, and I spend lots of time in the mountains. And I started looking at the medical benefits of the human body spending time in nature and found that there's lots of research on that. And one of the benefits that we receive from being in nature, particularly conifer forests, is that we breathe in these chemical compounds that the trees are breathing out called phytoncides. And those phytoncides help our body to reset. It helps normalize our blood pressure. It helps normalize our pulse rate. It helps normalize our respiratory rate. We see cortisol levels drop dramatically when we are breathing Shinrin-yoku or when we're forest bathing. And we see parts of the immune system boost, not only the number of cells, but their activity boosts higher. So now we have an immune system that's perfectly primed for any sort of seasonal threat that we may experience. So Shinrin-yoku is one of those that when someone is having lots of stress in their life, I recommend that they're diffusing that for about 8 hours a day because it's so extremely helpful. Okay, it has within it lemon, magnolia leaf, Siberian fir, patchouli, and then other essential oils that contain the limonene, linalool, alpha-pinene, and all of that. Like hinoki is in there. That's kind of a not very well known one. And grapefruit is in there, etc. And so we find some of those benefits from some of those oils within this. Spanish sage is also an amazing one. I love Spanish sage. Spanish sage actually helps us with our brain health. It's fantastic for memory, attention, and learning, okay, when we take it internally. So Spanish sage can be taken internally, can be diffused, can be put on topically, but it is one that when we're looking to recall things, or as we age, if we're having more difficulty with memory, then Spanish sage is my go-to for memory challenges as we get a little bit older. It's also a neat one to use in what we call tagging memories. We've each experienced this, right? Where we smell a certain smell and it brings a memory very quickly to our minds. So, for instance, for me, it's fresh baked bread. Whenever we were going to my grandma's house when we were children, and there were 6 of us children, Grandma was baking bread when we got there. The reason is because she had 6 grandchildren to feed and her children, and so she was always baking loaves of bread. So it automatically brings me right back to my grandma's house when I smell fresh baked bread. That's tagging a memory to a scent. So we use that in our kids, and we'll use Shinrin-yoku, we'll use Spanish sage as they're studying for a test, and they're learning information that they're going to be tested on later. We'll have them put on one of the oils like Spanish sage, somewhere where they can smell it while they're studying. Then when they go in for the test, if they put that same oil on, that smell will help them recall the things that they studied, and they'll do better on the test than if they weren't using the essential oils. So a little trick there to use with your oils, and Spanish sage is a fantastic one to use for that. I just love that one. Okay, let's talk about rise and fortify for a minute. How are we going to fortify the system? How are we going to get it going? Right? Balance. Balance is a fantastic oil. It really is one of those oils that doesn't really bring you up, meaning it doesn't elevate the mood, it calms the mood. It helps us with emotional stability, right? We know that the main constituents like alpha-pinene from spruce and frankincense, linalool from the whole wood, helps create this environment, and it helps the body just relax. So it is very grounding. It has in it blue tansy and blue chamomile, which has the compound chemazoline in it. And that's what gives it its blue hue. And the chemazoline also is very harmonizing with the system. So balance is one of those that you can use when I'm feeling a little bit too anxious, when I'm feeling a little bit too excited, when I'm feeling a little bit too on edge. It just helps bring mood back very quickly and helps us be centered. Balance is one that I use often in my meditation practice because it is so grounding and so anchoring for us. So I love balance as a morning oil when I first get up in the morning. Let's talk about wild orange for a minute. Wild orange is one of our favorites, right? A high in limonene. It's about 90% limonene, which is a huge amount. Limonene is great as an antioxidant, meaning it helps us scavenge free radicals and helps us get rid of some of the um, some of the problematic compounds within the system. So I love wild orange. Wild orange also is great for waking up the brain. I'll use wild orange and peppermint together. I've got my peppermint actually right here. I'll put wild orange and peppermint on my hands together and then breathe in really deeply, about 3 deep breaths, and that brain wakes right up. So if I'm sitting here at corporate in some long meetings that sometimes aren't quite as entertaining, sometimes a little wild orange and peppermint in the pocket can be helpful for me. Or if I'm sitting and trying to put presentations together here at the corporate office and it's taking several hours, then I will grab my peppermint wild orange, wake the brain up, and continue to work on those. So it's fantastic. Wild orange is also great to take internally. Actually, any of our citrus oils are. I've recently been on a grapefruit kick, but I'll put grapefruit oil in my water and that gives me a great citrus flavor while actually also helping my body scavenge for free radicals because it's an antioxidant. So it is a fantastic essential oil to be using on a daily basis. Now, my recommendation is find your citrus, the one that you really love. Lemon, wild orange, lime, we'll talk about here in a little bit, grapefruit. Find your citrus oil. Start using it every single day. A couple of drops in your water can be extremely helpful for you. Oregano. Let's talk about oregano for a minute. Oregano oil is a great oil, but you remember in the natural, the undiluted bottle, you do have to be a little careful with oregano, right? It's hot and it can burn you. My first experience with oregano was a mother who brought her child into me that had a ear infection that she had been treating with straight oregano oil in his ear canal and then putting a cotton ball over the ear so that it wouldn't drain out. As you might imagine, that child had a very, very painful ear after 3 days of doing that. And so oregano oil is fantastic for our immune system, fantastic as a cleansing oil. And the beauty of the oregano touch is you don't have to worry about diluting it. It's been diluted for you. And so the carvacrol and thymol in oregano, absolutely amazing for you for that immune system. Okay. So I love that it's been pre-diluted with some fractionated coconut oil. It's ready to go. So if your kids get into it, if you get into it and you forget about the fact that it's a hot oil, you don't have to worry about this because it's been diluted for you. So oregano oil is fantastic for us to be using every single day. Okay, let's talk about cedarwood and lime next and how we would pair that with our VMG, PB Restore, E Omega. Cedarwood is one of those very grounding oils. I was actually looking for it last night. I have a friend of ours, well, it's actually a friend of my son's, who was recently admitted to the hospital. We were up visiting her yesterday. She was just diagnosed with some really rough things, and she's got a rough road ahead of her. But we noticed that she was feeling really, really down and not in control of anything in her life. She's a 13-year-old girl. And so one of the things that we looked for last night was cedar wood. My wife is actually at the hospital right now delivering some cedar wood to this family because it is so grounding and is going to help her relax through all the things that are ahead and give her the strength to deal with those challenges that are ahead of her. And so cedar wood is really that relaxing, grounding essential oil. It's great to put on topically because it's great for the skin. Okay. I would diffuse it for sure. Again, it's another one to use in a great meditative practice. And then also you can use cedar wood. When I was a child, there were things called cedar chests, and you would put your most valuable things in there. Women would sometimes put their wedding dress in or their wedding veil in there to make sure that moths and other critters didn't get to it. This is because the cedar wood actually inhibits or the insects don't like it. And so if you'll put some wood oil on a cotton ball and put that in your closet, what you'll find is you won't have any critters in your closet because they don't really enjoy that. And therefore it keeps your clothes free from moths, etc., getting at it. Lime oil. Lime oil is one of our citrus oils that you get from, it's a cold pressed oil. Most of our citrus oils are. It's cold pressed from the peels of the lime, okay, to make sure that it preserves the chemistry there. So I love lime oil. I actually use it quite a bit in cooking. We'll make a salad dressing with lime oil, olive oil, and then some vinegar, and it really does make an amazing dressing for a salad. But lime oil also is great for the immune system. Again, it's one of those that you can put a few drops in your water because it boosts the immune system, and with its limonene, it also helps with scavenging those free radicals. You can also use lime oil as a surface cleaner or a wood cleaner as well. It's great for that. Let me tell you a trick with lime oil. All of us have experienced this with our children when they're not feeling so good. They've come down with a seasonal threat and their temperature starts to go up. Lime oil topically has been a great one in our family to help that temperature maintain its normalcy, if you understand what I'm saying here, right? It helps maintain a normal body temperature. And so putting lime oil back of the neck, wrists, taking it internally can help those kids that are dealing with a seasonal threat maintain a normal temperature. Peppermint can do the same thing. So we love peppermint and lime together. Now keep in mind our citrus oils, when using wild orange, lemon, lime, whatever it is, you want to be careful when you're using it topically and going out in the sun for the next 12 hours. Not that you can't do that, you'll just be more sensitive to the sun and the UV rays of that sun. So please be aware when using your citrus oils topically, just be aware of that little consideration of, oh, I might want to be a little bit more conscious of protection for us. For some reason, my microphone keeps switching between my camera microphone and my microphone on my computer, so I apologize if the audio is a little messed up there. Okay, let's talk about thriving for a minute. These are two of our favorite oils, On Guard DDR Prime. Now, you guys have the amazing blessing of just coming out of winter. You're heading into spring. We're the opposite. I now have snow on my mountains right outside my office here. We're heading into wintertime and higher seasonal threats. So we use On Guard quite a bit in the wintertime. We go from using just a beadlet every day of On Guard for all of us to now doing the soft gel of On Guard Plus. And we're diffusing this On Guard oil in our home every day during the wintertime because it's been found to be so helpful at modulating the immune system. Okay, so we know that the gut microbiome has signals in it that modulate the innate immune system. Now, what is the innate immune system? It's the immune system that's ready to pounce when something comes in the system that we don't want, right? So it stimulates lymphoid cells in the spleen. It modulates neutrophil migration, meaning those neutrophils can get out of the bloodstream into the areas where they need to be. So it modulates neutrophils. It induces and activates macrophages. What do macrophages do? They actually go in and clean up. They're the cleanup crew for anything that gets into the system that the immune system destroys. So viruses, bacteria, etc., they can go clean those up. And it conditions the innate immune system for pattern recognition. There's certain cells that recognize certain seasonal threats, and it primes the system to recognize those better. So I love On Guard. It is absolutely one that we use every day in its various forms. Again, whether it's a beadlet, whether it's a soft gel, whether it's the On Guard oil itself, and this is something that you can ingest if you don't have the beadlets or soft gels with you. But On Guard is an everyday oil in our home because we want that immune system ready to go. We are very rarely do we come down with seasonal threats in our home because of our use of On Guard. And so I would highly recommend it for you. DDR Prime. DDR Prime is a significant oil to me. I've been doing some research with this oil in Japan with a gentleman by the name of Dr. Takoya Nagata. And we've published several research articles on DDR Prime and its components. What we know with DDR Prime is it helps us with a healthy inflammatory response. It actually helps reduce oxidative stress when we take this DDR prime internally. It promotes cellular repair. Remember, the human body is one of those few things that actually can fix itself. And so DDR prime is great. And then it also makes sure that our system is doing well at something called apoptosis. Now, apoptosis is the time in which a cell is programmed to die. It should live for a certain period of time and then it should go away. And when it doesn't go away, it begins to cause problems for us. And so we know that DDR prime helps with that signaling of apoptosis, making sure that those cells go away when they should be going away. Just a couple of pathways for our DDR prime. We know that it's involved in the inflammatory process. So there's something called nuclear factor kappa B. It inhibits nuclear factor kappa B, which means that it supports that healthy inflammatory response. Okay. We know that frankincense within the DDR prime is the thing that promotes apoptosis. Again, apoptosis, that big long word that just means cell death, appropriate cell death. So when a cell becomes unhealthy or it becomes dysfunctional, that frankincense within the DDR prime nudges that cell to pay attention to the message, it's time to go away. You have a problem. And so it eliminates those unhealthy cells and allows for healthy cells to, to thrive within that stress, okay? We also know that DDR prime enhances something called superoxide dismutase. Now, it's again a big word. What does that mean? It means that it reduces those oxygen species, free radicals. And so therefore, what is that doing? It protects our DNA, protects our proteins, protects our mitochondria from having problems with it. Okay. Also with immune modulation, it stimulates the production of regulatory messengers or cytokines and supports adaptive immunity. Remember, we talked about on guard supporting innate immunity. DDR prime supports adaptive immunity. So taking DDR prime internally does a different thing for us than taking our on guard internally, and both are fantastic to be using every day in the human body. So both of those are ones that I highly recommend for you. Just one more last word about DDR prime. DDR prime also helps our immune system, last slide, helps our immune system function a little bit better. So when we have an immune system that's having some dysfunction, then that's when I would recommend using DDR prime as well, because it'll help remind that immune system what to do and tell it to not cause problems, right? Okay, so energize. When we need to have some energy, we would look at our VMG, PB Restore, E Omega, and then add to it our MetaPower Advantage and our MetaPower Mito 2 Max. Let's talk about MetaPower Advantage for a minute. MetaPower Advantage has within it NMN. And NMN is all the rage right now, but the problem is most of the excitement about NMN is talking about synthetic NMN. When we did studies head to head of natural NMN, which is what this has in it, and synthetic NMN, what we found is natural NMN works better every single time. Every time. And so a natural source of NMN daily can be very helpful for you. What we found with epigenetics, excuse me, is that NMN actually turned on the genes that we were expressing when we were younger. Okay, and we all want to be a little bit younger, right? So let me just share with you a little bit of an experience I had with a wellness advocate in Florida. I was in Florida a couple years ago, was talking to a wellness advocate who was originally from Brazil. She was in her mid 70s, early 70s, I would say, and she had this beautiful gray hair, just beautiful. It was about maybe down to here, a little bit longer than shoulder length. And she said, Dr. Riggs, can I talk to you for a minute? I said, sure. What's going on? She said, I've been taking your MetaPower Advantage product for about 9 months. I said, oh, great. What's your experience been? She says, well, let me show you something. And she lifted up her beautiful gray hair and the bottom inch and a half of her hair was jet black. She said, I have not had this color hair since I was in my late 40s. So it had been, 15 years since her hair had turned gray. And she said, and now my hair is coming in black again. And I said, well, what do you think is going on? She said, I think my genes are beginning to think I'm in my 40s again. And so they're expressing the hair color I had in my 40s. And so it was just that reminder of our body can actually change the genes that it expresses. We see amazing benefits from taking MetaPower Advantage. Now, of course, it also has collagen in it. Collagen's great for skin. It's great for joints. It's great for really a lot of the body composition to make sure that we're having a good collagen. And it's not just the beauty collagen that you'll see in most collagen products, which is type 2 and type 3, but we have a number of different collagens within here. My favorite is type 9, which actually supports the collagen and disc formation in your back, your spine. We also have, of course, our MetaPower blend in it, vitamin C, resveratrol, etc. We have NADH in it. So NADH is one of those building blocks for energy. And by the time we're 40, we are producing half of the NADH that we did when we were 25. Okay. 25, our NADH level starts to go down. By the time we're 40, we're only producing half. What we found in a clinical trial that when we started using this product for 30 days, that our NADH level increased in our blood by 52%. So again, taking this product can actually help us with the effects of aging. It's a fantastic one. I love that one. I'll tell you clinically how I use MetaPower Advantage is when I'm trying to address cholesterol concerns. I have people take 2 MetaPower Advantage a day. It's very helpful at maintaining a healthy cholesterol. Okay, let's talk about Mito 2 Max. Now we had an old Mito 2 Max. We now have a new version of Mito 2 Max. You can see here we've added a few things. We've taken some things out, some things that we were a little bit more concerned about. I will tell you that doTERRA is a science company. We try to follow the science very well. And so as new science comes out, you may see us update a product because there's maybe things that we need to include that we think are better than what we included before. And there may be things that we need to take out because there's new evidence that that may not be as good for us as we thought that they were. And so you'll see us change products on occasion, and this is one of those products. And so you can see here that we've got some new things with this product. We've got our MetaPower blend in it, which is amazing. We also have this Aerodiction, which we'll talk about here in just a minute. But it has some other things in it. It's really the ingredients that set us apart. So when you look at the ingredients of MetaPower Mito 2 Max, it has within it PQQ, CoQ10, which is very important in maintaining a healthy blood pressure, acetyl L-carnitine, that Aerodiction, which we'll talk about in a second, and then of course our MetaPower blend. But let's talk about first our PQQ. PQQ is helpful for what we call mitochondrial biogenesis. Now, what's a mitochondria? When you look at the human cell, we have certain parts of the cell. So for instance, the nucleus of the cell contains our DNA. But there's also a little organelle called the mitochondria. The mitochondria produce energy for us. You can see in that diagram in that lower right, that energy is called ATP, adenosine triphosphate. Now, the mitochondria produce that energy. Now, children have lots of energy. If you all have children, you know, watching a little child, how much energy they have. The interesting thing is because in their body, they produce as much ATP as an adult does, but it's in a little tiny body. So therefore, they are burning off that energy by running around and being crazy, right? Because they have a lot more energy per body mass than we do. As adults, we actually have less energy only because it's all spread out now over an adult-sized body. Now, the beautiful thing about PQQ is it helps us make more factories within the mitochondria. So the example that we give here, if one factory can produce 10 units of energy, 10 factory can produce 100 units of energy. So Mito2 Max helps us make more factories. And the PQQ needs CoQ10 to do that. So the CoQ10 and the PQQ are like the spark plug and fuel for an engine. And so it really does help us make more ATP because we're increasing the number of factories that we have. Now let's talk about the Santa Herba or Aerodictyon. Okay, this has been clinically proven to increase metabolism, increase lipolytic activity. Now, what does that mean? Lipolytic activity means getting rid of fat. Oh, bummer. Getting rid of fat. That's really rough, right? And then also to reduce fatigue. And so it is a fantastic herbal supplement, the Santa Herba, to help us get rid of some of those problems that can happen with metabolic challenges. And so it also has that slimming effect because of that lipolytic activity or getting rid of the lipids within our fat cells. And so just highlighting a couple of the ingredients for that particular um, product of Mito2 Max. Fantastic product, great for our energy. Okay, so let's talk about maybe what a routine looks like for this. So in the morning, here's what my recommendation would be. VMG, E Omega, PB Restore. I take them every single morning. There's not a morning that I miss, okay? It helps kind of get that microbiome ready for the day. It helps me get my omegas in. It helps me get all the nutrients in that I need. I also do 2 MetaPower Advantage sachets every morning. Now, not everybody needs 2. Most people need 1, but I take 2 every morning of MetaPower Advantage because I want it to help with my metabolic and cellular health. Recently, I've been doing 1 sachet of PB Assist with it. Remember, I'm trying to reset a microbiome after a disruption of it, so I now actually take PB Assist along with it. Then I start with my citrus oil in the water. Now that can be your wild orange, it can be whatever, but if you've got wild orange as your BOGOs, right, then wild orange is your one that you should be using right now. Fantastic. That also helps motivate me for the day. When I use that wild orange peppermint trick of inhaling, right, it helps me get me ready for the day. And then doTERRA Balance is another great one to put on the bottom of your feet before you put your shoes on to help ground you for the day. Remember, I use balance in my meditation practice, which I do every morning before leaving the house. And so I'll meditate for about 10 to 15 minutes and I'll use balance during that practice. Okay, middle of the day is where you might reach your Mito2 Max, particularly if you're getting that after lunch slump where you're just like, I'm in meetings, I'm trying to stay awake, etc. Mito2 Max is what you grab there. You might use your Zengest at that point. For me, I fast in the morning and I have lunch. Zengest is a great one to put on my abdomen or to take some internally after lunch to support the digestive tract. And then Shinrin-yoku is a great one to diffuse in the office. This diffuser, my black diffuser, you can't see it here, but right by my office always has my Shinrin-yoku in it. So that's what's diffusing in my office almost every day. You can also use your Spanish sage if you want to, particularly if you're studying for something, if you're focusing on something. Spanish sage is a great one. And then again, a lime or your wild orange, add to your water midday as well. Remember, hydration is very important. Ladies, 3 liters of water a day. Gentlemen, 4 liters of water a day. That's how much we should be drinking. It's easier to get that in when you're adding an oil to your water. Tastes a little bit better, and that hydration is good for us. In the evening, you might think about your DDR prime at that point. I usually add a little bit more frankincense to it, but DDR prime taken with your evening meal to support that immune system, to support cellular integrity, etc. We do our On Guard in the morning at my house. So these are our On Guard soft gels, but you can use your On Guard whenever. Also, whenever I come home from work now in the evening, again, heading into wintertime, we have On Guard diffusing in our home. In one of those diffusers that when you walk by, it just automatically diffuses for us. And so we use On Guard there. Oregano Touch, also a great one. Bottoms of your feet, along your spine as a bedtime routine. And then lastly, particularly for our kids, we actually use either cedarwood, lavender, or serenity. And we'll do that with our kids before bed. Our bedtime routine consists of reading scriptures as a family, having prayer as a family, and then they get ready and go to bed. And as they're laying in bed, my wife and I will go in and we'll grab one of those oils and we'll put it on the bottom of their feet and we'll put it on the back of their spine for a couple of reasons. Number one, we're harnessing the power of the oil. The oil is going to do what it does. It's going to help them calm down, relax at the end of the day. Number two, it's going to help us have a physical connection with our children at the end of the day. We actually physically touch them and connect with them every night before bed. And then number three, what it does is it allows us some time to check in with them. How are they doing emotionally? How do they feel about their day? Do they have anything that they want to talk about? It allows us to have that time together as a family and just check in with our kids. So we love using our essential oils at the end of the day in our bedtime routine and their bedtime routine because it helps us all so much. So I would encourage you to be using these essential oils every day and really finding ways to include them into your everyday life. I'm amazed how often I share with people the benefits of essential oils. And these are wellness advocates and customers who've been using oils for a long time and they go, "Oh, I need to remember to use that." Sometimes it's hard to remember. Sometimes old habits die hard. My recommendation is have the oils out where you see them every day. Don't put them up in cupboards. Don't put them away in drawers. Have them on countertops. Have them in your kitchen. Have them in your living room so that you are reminded every day of your use of them. We have them. I was just looking today as I left the house. So when we get up in the morning, we have oils on our nightstands. Both my wife and I do next to our bed. We have oils in our bathroom. So there's oils that we use every morning before we even leave the bathroom and before we're even dressed and ready to go for the day. We have oils in our kitchen that we're using every day. I mean, they're everywhere around our house, our oils and our products. And if you have them out, you'll remember to use them and you'll get those benefits much better. So anyway, I hope that helps.
Thank you so much. Dr. Riggs, you truly are not just a gift to our doTERRA community, you are a gift to the world. So thank
Oh,
you. We
thank you,
really
Nava.
appreciate you. We really do.
Thank you.
And I mean, you're speaking about it being summer here, hardly. We're still struggling between summer and winter. We're still
Okay.
shoveling ice from our driveway. So it's a little bit hectic and we need all of the immune boost that we need.
Well,
So
you send the ice and cold our way. We'll send any heat your way. How does that sound?
okay, that's a fair deal for me. Also, just one thing that I did pick up for what you were saying, you were speaking about the cedar chest. Cedar chest, it being December in South Africa, is actually one of the staples in African weddings. So when the bride arrives at the groom's house, she needs to come with a cedar chest, and it becomes just one of those exchanges that you have in your household as a staple for life.
That's great. I
Yeah.
love that tradition.
Pretty amazing, pretty amazing. So
Yeah.
thank you very much, Dr. Riggs. Really appreciate you.
Of course. Of course. Thank you so much. I look forward to being with you again in person. I see friends that are on the call, that it's been a while since I've been able to be with you, but I look forward to sometime being in South Africa and doing some more in-person events. I loved my experience down there going to Bloemfontein and Joburg and many of those beautiful, beautiful places that you all live and look forward to being with you in person sometime.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Riggs. I'm going to share my screen as I just wrap things up. And I think it's a great opportunity for us to really see what we can expect in this month and really just bask in the beauty of December. It's a time for sharing. It's a time for us to really just give from our hearts, and truly is an opportunity for us to just share our essential oils. And so this December, the product of the month being geisha wood, an incredible oil that really just brings out all of that grounding, calming goodness. One of the staples that are used in many of finest perfumery. So a great one to have in your collection as well. And also looking at our 10% off product this month. Our 10% off product is myrrh. And I mean, if frankincense is the king of oils, myrrh is definitely right up there in the Christmas season. You know, one of the gifts that baby Jesus got as a little baby as well. So it's one of those amazing oils that you can add in your collection as well. 10% off the product is also Terrazyme, a great one for your digestive health. The 200 PV offer this month is frankincense. I mean, this one is a big one. And so get your hands on that frankincense. It's one of those products that when you place a 200 PV order, you'll receive 15 ml frankincense absolutely free. And we have this amazing lavender bag. Isn't she lovely? And inside the lavender bag, you have holders for your essential oils. And so it's a great travel must have for the season and also a great way to gift people. The amazing thing about this lavender bag is that you not only get a 5 ml lavender inside the bag, but there's a free mystery oil. So 12 days of Christmas has definitely started here on our side. So the enrollment offer this month, you get when the 50 PV waived enrollment and 100 PV waived enrollment, you receive a welcome oil, which is citrus bloom. Like Dr. Rigg said, you find the citrus that works for you. And citrus bloom is definitely one of those citruses for me, and also just serves as a great fragrance, very refreshing, very, just whimsical and beautiful. I absolutely love it. And finally, we would love to have you at the leadership retreat. It's taking place at the breathtaking Asara Wine Estate and Hotel in Stellenbosch, Western Cape, from the 5th to the 7th of February. We are super excited. Tickets are up and they're on sale right now. It's early bird tickets. So I encourage you to get your hands on these early bird tickets. Scan this QR code right now so that you can get access to the early bird tickets. And I encourage you not just to buy a ticket for yourself where leadership retreat is concerned. Buy a ticket for yourself. Buy a ticket for a team member or two or three or more, and make sure you come together as a team and really come and use this as an opportunity to chart the course for how you will build a strong business moving forward and how you'll support your incredible customers and just allow them to really be empowered with all that we have to offer here at doTERRA. And then finally, one of my favorites, free shipping any day. And so you will get your free shipping it's available on LRP and enrollment orders of 125 PV and above for the entire month. And so that's what we have on offer. And we really look forward to wrapping up this year with you and really just making it strong and wrapping up strong and making it just incredible. And so thank you for your time. Thank you, Dr.
Nala,
Riggs.
can I mention something real quick?
Yes,
So
please.
your myrrh, your information that you shared about myrrh, I think of this as it's a great gift for a mom who is having a son that's going to be raised by a carpenter, right? She
Yes.
was given money and a first aid kit. That's
Yes.
really what she was given, right? So frankincense and myrrh together, interestingly enough, in traditional Chinese medicine, work better than either alone. So whenever you're grabbing your myrrh or whenever you're grabbing your frankincense, think about grabbing the other one because synergistically they work together than either one by itself. And so frankincense and myrrh, those two should be together in anything you're using them for. So just a little heads up there on that one.
Thank you. I'm definitely going to be grabbing my myrrh and my frankincense at the same time.
Yep.
Thank you, Dr. Riggs. Really appreciate you. And thank you so much for spending this time with us this evening. Good night.
You. Bye-bye.